Hi Christine, thanks for sending your photos and let's get to your photo portfolio review. First of all, your first picture made me smile because I've eaten in this restaurant. It's also a boutique hotel in my second home of San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. I absolutely love it there, and this is a great shot. And the reason it's nice is it's well balanced. Whenever we have a situation where we have the left side almost equivalent to the right side because of symmetry, and arches are wonderful symmetrical devices, we always want to make sure they're centered, and you have done that perfectly. A couple of things that we can adjust. Now, if this may have been an iPhone picture, I'm not sure. If you, the nice thing about advancements in iPhone photography and also in Android is if you use the Lightroom app to actually take your pictures, you can choose to photograph them in RAW. And if so, that allows you a lot of really interesting abilities. For example, I'm going to go to my adjustment brush, and what I'm going to do is take exposure down a little bit, but highlights down a lot, and I'm going to brush in more detail. Now, because I'm working with a smaller JPEG file that you emailed me, it doesn't look all that good. However, if this was the original, and especially if it was a RAW, by me adjusting the highlights, you see how it's getting darker? It wouldn't actually get darker, but more detail would show up here. And this would sort of rescue the blown out, we call it blown out highlights. And it's actually quite normal because, behind this glass you have a normal light and it's bright. So this is normal. However, that is correctable. I'll just get rid of that for now. Okay, next thing, I just feel a general, what we call a global adjustment on shadows. So we're just going to increase the shadows. However, we're going to decrease the blacks. And what that does is it gives us a sort of a lift in the overall mid-tone brightness. However, we want to keep the drama of reduced blacks. So let me show you a before and after. So here's the original, and here's the corrected. Now it's very subtle. I'll show you again. Okay, really not much. However, it does allow for a little bit more viewability. I feel that it may be a touch bluish down here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my adjustment brush, get rid of reset my settings if from the last job I just did. I'm going to increase the temperature slider to the yellow side, and I'm going to adjust my brush a bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm painting on warmth. This is an incredible tool that is part of a lot of Adobe products, and that just sort of reduced the coolness of the man and woman standing here plus this area. Okay, so let's look at the before and the after. Very small subtle adjustments, but makes the picture a little bit better. Okay, so let's get to your next shot. I love the light on this. You did a great job capturing this fantastic light. Just absolutely great. Now, normally, and this is also debatable whether you should correct this or not, a lot of people say, I always want straight lines in my architecture. Other people say, no, I want it to be exactly how my camera photographed it. Well, both answers are absolutely right. But let's go down to geometry. And under geometry, we're going to go to the upright. We're going to go to auto. Now, when we click on auto, do you see how the picture just automatically shifted? I'm going to go to the before, and here's the after. And what this does is the software analyzes straight lines, and it just straightens up the lines for you. Now again, you may want the original, and that's great. I prefer this myself. And because I like detail and I'm a nitpicker, this little missing brick bothers me. So you could either clone it, or you could simply just crop it out. And cropping it out won't really hurt the picture at all. Okay, otherwise I think it's a really delightful shot, and there's really nothing else you would need to change or alter. Okay, so I initially said, oh wow, great colors, but then I realized that what you're doing is you're connecting the two elements here. So you have Pride Month, and the librarian cleverly, is it a library, is it a bookstore, I'm not sure, but they cleverly, and it must have taken a huge amount of time to do this, but sort of copied the colors of this rainbow into the books. Now, I feel that there's a little bit of useless space up here, so I would tend to crop it, like so. Okay, that sort of tightens up the picture a bit better. Now, about this man, there's two ways to look at this. A lot of people would say, it's a little bit tight. When I look at people that are on the edge of the frame looking out of frame, what that means to me is that they are contemplating something that's heavy, that's deep, that could be troubling, could be a tough issue in life that they're dealing with. Compared to when, let's say that he was sitting here and he had the same pose. He was sitting in this chair, looking at his computer this way. I would feel that he's just a normal dude checking his email. Everything's good. But because he's on this side, very much looking out of frame, then there's something troubling him. And that's what happens when we have people looking into frame and people looking out of frame. So I would suggest that you did a good job in this sense, because to me, it looks like he's troubled with something. The only thing I would say is the laptop removes the poetic and metaphoric elements for me. I don't like it. So I would tend to just get rid of the laptop. Now, yes, there's a little bit there, but it's not critical. I kind of want to see his full arm here, or his elbow. So I feel that this is a stronger crop, and it's more poetic, more metaphoric. Hope that helps. Okay, now your next picture, I looked at it and I said, oh, this reminds me of the border of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick in Canada. It's the sort of the flat area around Sackville. I don't think that that's what this is, but regardless, it's a really nice shot. And what I'm going to do is crop. Now, first thing I want to say is that your crop traditionally is probably pretty accurate, because when we look at crop lines, here is the top horizontal third, and it's pretty much just the way you had it, right on where it should be. For example, we would have the top of this mountain range, not intersecting, but along the crop line. However, that's sort of debatable, because what we could also do is have the horizontal upper rule of thirds line actually working along the water's edge, where the water or the mud meets the green. Let's take a look at this. Okay, here's the before, and here's the after. I feel that both are probably totally acceptable, but for me, I tend to like this version better. Okay, so that's just a little cropping tool. I always try to find out, where do I want my horizontal line to be? Okay, so you submitted 4 images, and there we go. And thank you so much, Christine, for being a part of this portfolio review. And it was a great pleasure going through your images. Thanks so much.